What's up, State Champs Nation? Welcome to another edition of State Champs HangTime Michigan, the Hoops podcast on what's happening in hoops in the Mitten. HangTime Michigan is sponsored by Lawrence Technological University. Follow the men and women's NAIA basketball program and recruit yourself at LTUathletics.com. The LTU women's team currently receiving votes to get them in the NAIA National Top 25 rankings, so good on them. Hungry Howie's also a sponsor. Doughrazor, simply the easiest and best fundraising program. Go to doughrazor.com for details. The MHSAA, if you're looking for scores, stories, district brackets, all of it at MHSAA.com. And also BCAM, the Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan. Need to register now. I think February 15th is the deadline if you're a coach to get your membership. Go to bcam.org to check it out. Here's what we got on the docket for today. We're going to talk a little bit about the Horatio Williams MLK Classic last weekend, a little bit about what the guys have seen this week. We'll then touch on changes and updates in TJ Kelley's boys state rankings. TJ will preview the Fast Break Invitational at Belleville, since I know you're going to be there.
Yep,
might as well talk about it. Grab bag this week includes Scott's best shooters in the state. We've got some commitments recently made. I understand Joe Moon has just received an offer from a school in the state of Indiana, so we'll discuss that too. Later, Matt Mowry will join us for a brief chat on girls hoops, including his rankings and also the fact that Brighton is legit this season. And finally, I had a chance to interview the man himself in Detroit King head coach George Ward. He talks about his days as a player at Cooley High, his journey as a high school coach.
Won a couple state titles with Ben Kelso.
Yep. Also chimed in as to why players in Michigan are leaving the state and that some of the things maybe need to relax in terms of some of the restrictions that are still in place. Anyways, a really good conversation. Good dude. That's our BCAM segment. He's filling in for Dan Young this week. This is Scott Burnstein. This is TJ Kelley. I'm Lorne Plant. Thank you so much for joining us. And, boy, I tell you, the weather's just been brutal, at least for Tuesday and Wednesday.
I think it's appropriate, though. I mean, we have all this ice outside, but then you got players with ice in their veins, man.
Right.
I mean, we got so many players that are, the epitome of clutch.
Right, yeah.
And so it kind of, mirrors what's going on with Mother Nature.
So no doubt the season is heating up. We are at that point where, we're not even that far away from the PSL tournament.
Week away?
Yeah.
Is it starting next week?
Yeah, I think so. It's very close.
In a climate control.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And I mean, the state tournament for boys starts in the last week of February, so we're only a month out.
That's
right now.
The boys are earlier this year. So let's get into some results and some things that took place this past weekend. The MLK Showcase. Clarkston King was the third game of the day. Clarkston wins 53-39. Now, talking to Ward today, because we filmed our segment ahead of time, he's like, look, the kids are so high coming off just beating Cass Tech at the buzzer.
It was a 24-hour turnaround.
Yes, exactly.
They beat Cass at the buzzer on a Jordan Whitford jumper at about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock on a Friday, and then 6 o'clock they had a tip-off against the two-time defending state champs.
Clarkston still proving that they are one of the best teams in the state.
I don't think we can overstate how impressive the two freshmen in the backcourt are at Clarkson. What they're doing, I have never seen two freshmen that are as intelligent, as they are composed, as they are ability to both score and distribute. A lot of teams are game planning for them, thinking that because they're freshmen, because they're only 14, 15 years old, we can bring full court pressure and we can rattle them. Well, they're flipping the script and they're just shredding every ounce of a press that's been coming their way the last couple weeks. And it's just, I can't say enough about it. I mean, Fletcher Lawyer and Keegan Wasilk are the real deal Holyfield. These kids are just so above and beyond what you expect normal freshmen at the varsity level. I expected Clarkson this year. I was telling everyone in the offseason, don't be shocked if this team wins 16, 17 games. Now, I didn't anticipate if they won 16 or 17 games that the engine, the catalyst, would be the two freshmen. I thought they would be more complementary. But, and this is all due respect to Matt Nicholson, who is, in my opinion, who's come into his own and is, in my opinion, the best post prospect in the state. They are the two.
He was great.
The two freshmen though are considerably more integral to what's happening this year with the 12 straight victories, and just like I said, they're shredding teams,
right?
And it's because of the freshmen,
right? Yeah, I mean they didn't even have to really score any points in the fourth quarter. They were basically getting fouled, and you know, and they were being pressed hard by King, and King was making buckets and making it interesting, but they held on, and you know,
and Fletcher is already 6'2".
Yeah.
You know, Foster never got above 6 foot, really.
Yeah.
And
really? I mean, 5'10". Come on, man.
Yeah.
And as
I always wanted to be 6 foot.
As fundamentally sound as Foster is, Fletcher's just as fundamentally sound, but he's got a little flash and dash to his game.
Right.
There was
let's say this: I think it's more flash and dash because it wasn't necessarily expected from him. You know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you put 45s on the bench on either side of him. I mean, he might get one rep.
There was there was a sequence against King where he's coming down on a break, and two guys come at him, and he goes around his back with a finger roll.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah. No, he's got a lot of confidence.
Coming up against
No doubt.
a team that you could say is the best team in the city.
Right.
And with guards that are being recruited at the college level.
Yeah. All right. We'll see how they track from here on out. But you talk about flash and dash. River Rouge and Flint Beecher gave us flash and dash. Rouge really. Really coming into their own now.
Too heavy.
You know what? They're
really
playing,
comfortable in their own skin now.
They're playing, and obviously we've watched tons of championship teams.
Yeah.
Like they have that moxie. They have that. They have that charisma.
It helps when you got
like
seniors like that.
Yeah, and they're
a lot of seniors.
They are focused.
Yeah.
And even losing.
Yeah.
Earlier in the year to King,
right, probably
propelled them, and they're like, "Yo, we can't let this happen. I don't like this feeling."
Exactly.
I could see Daniel Few.
Right.
Just like he grabbed the rebound.
Yeah.
Like this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
We need to go and just having so many leaders on that team and how they all buy in.
Yeah.
And that's a testament to Lamonte Stone is coming in as a late coach. You know, I mean, who's my guy, the Yankee manager. who was hired many a time by Billy Martin.
Yeah.
He's like, I mean, I think that's
Lamonte's third stint at his alma mater.
It's his third
and he had
stint
the burgundy. Coach and he told me the story.
Giving my man from Beaverton a run for his money.
The burgundy coach is like back in the day we had to play the country days and the prep schools of the day, and so we had these hanging up in the school. And he's like,
I just wrote something. I just wrote
Will Smith.
Yeah,
I just wrote something about that's going to be on the blog soon. And Bernie's Bites at StateChampsNetwork.com. River Rouge. Most dapper team in the state. They came into the gym. Right. Everyone's in maroon blazers and bow ties.
Yeah.
That's fresh to death, baby.
Yeah, and those are 25-year-old jackets.
Right.
That they've got.
And those were two heavyweights just slugging it out in the center of the ring.
Right.
Top three teams in my opinion in the state.
Nigel Colvin played great. Legend Jeter played great.
Donovan Freeman
and Donovan Freeman is a freak on the wing.
Absolutely.
And Danny Few is just a diamond in the rough in
Legend
the middle.
Jeter is coming in.
Legend Jeter is one of the best sophomores.
And talking to the coach after the game, he's like, Legend is like, he concedes to the seniors. He doesn't want to take it, but the seniors like, it's all good, young brother.
Right.
Do what you got to do because we want to go all the way, and we need you to play like he did at the end, especially. He was the one that was making plays, big and one.
Yep. Arguably the top big prospect in 2021.
Yep, no doubt about it.
And with Danny Few in the middle, I mean, Ferris State. Lake Superior State. Sorry, they're getting a steal in him, but he's got upside and a kid that's just really starting to scratch the surface on his potential.
Right, but I will say on the other side, Jalen Terry, the way that he played, he was slashing, he was step back, he was hitting from wherever he needed to, getting the guys involved.
He's cash money.
I'll tell you who was really impressive to me, along with Jalen Terry, was Carmelo Harris, the freshman, because this dude. And not only that, so we got to see previously with King, with Chauncey Harris, who is more of a shooter and cold-blooded. I mean, he's ready for his shot. Well, Carmelo's coming along, and this dude's hitting floaters. He's hitting the jumpers, and he just showed a wide range to his game.
Yeah.
And so we got to see a lot of the future,
we did.
I believe, at Warren Fitzgerald, and hats off to Horatio Williams for having a phenomenal event.
Yeah, it was solid. Rochester, Adams, and Southfield.
Yeah, I was there last night. Rochester, Adams.
Big road win for Adams.
Adams is they've kind of done what Clarkston did. They lost the first 2 games of the season, and then they haven't lost since. They're riding an 11-game winning streak. They look like they're going to walk away with the OA White title. This is a team that 2 years ago didn't win a game. They were 0-21. Brad Crichton came over from the girls program at Stony Creek, which he literally built with his own 2 hands, built them into a girls hoop power in Oakland County. Decided he wanted to make the shift from girls to boys, comes over to the Adams teams. Then they take their lumps that first year, 0-21. Then last year, I believe they won 15 games, 16 games, won a district in Class A. And then this year, it looks like they're going to win that OA White as long as it keeps trending towards in that direction. They got a date with Clarkston in the first game of districts, which is going to be tough. But this is a team that has a lot of underclassmen. You got one of the best sophomore guards in the state in Ethan Immersion. I call him Easy E because everything he does is just it seems effortless. Type of guy that is kind of a nothing but nylon specialist. Swishes a lot of his 3-pointers on his free throws. It's just it's smooth as silk. Then they got a junior wing in Peyton Priestcorn. You might recognize the name.
Yeah,
He's baby brother of Caden Priestcorn, the quarterback and power forward at Orchard Lake St. Mary's the last couple years.
Right.
Won a state championship in football. Looks like he's
Fork
about
Union last year.
Yeah, he's a Fork Union this past fall. It looks
Yeah.
like he's about to sign with Memphis.
Yeah.
So he's going to go Division I for football. But Peyton Priestcorn plays a lot like his brother, just really cerebral, can shoot the ball, can facilitate from the top of the key. And then they got one of the best freshmen. We're talking a lot of good freshmen in the state right now. Well, Adams has one of the best in Gunnar Walters, freshman combo guard, the son of Rex Walters.
Who was the teammate of Adonis.
Rex Walters went to the Final Four with Kansas as a starter in the backcourt, then played, I believe, 8 years in the NBA and was an assistant with the Detroit Pistons under Stan Van Gundy. That's how the Walters family landed in Rochester. And now after Van Gundy and his staff got swept out over the summer, Rex Walters is an assistant at the University of Nevada, but the family has stayed, and Gunnar Walters is really having a really solid season as a freshman, along with immersion. So you have an underclassman backcourt that's really fueling that Rochester Adams Highlanders team. And then Peyton Priestcorn, like I said, just came back after 5 games on the shelf with a sprained ankle, went for 16.7 rebounds last night, and then immersion went for 25.
And this was a matchup against Cam McEvans?
Yeah, Cam McEvans is really one of the lesser-known stars in Metro Detroit. He's been one of the leading scorers in Oakland County the last 2 years, has gone over 40 points in a single game 4 times in his career, went for 40, I believe 41 last week against Troy Athens. But Ethan Immersion and his twin brother, Jake Immersion, doubled up on him and really stifled the Cam McEvans Express and held Cam to only 11 points last night.
Wow. Okay.
And Southfield was riding a 3-game win streak, feeling good about themselves. And I talked to Coach Buchanan after the game, and he's like, I think we're feeling too good about ourselves, kind of reading the press clippings, thinking that we were better than we were at. We just rolled off 3 games. It's not like Rochester Adams just rolled 11 straight.
Yeah,
right.
Like, we rolled up.
Terry Lowain running out the streets to play him. Yeah, that's the old Southfield guy.
Yeah, so he said, I think that we were a little full of ourselves, and we got a little bit of our just desserts tonight, and we'll learn from this. But A&T is a team that could be a sleeper come districts. They're in that Mumford district.
Yeah. Who was the Southfield kid a few years ago, shooter, and then you go to Michigan
Carlton
for like
Brundage.
a year?
Carlton
Brundage.
Yep. Went there.
Well, they went to
university.
They went to back-to-back Final Fours in
Final
2010
Fours,
and 11.
Yeah.
Carlton Brundage, Pee Wee Barnes,
couldn't get over the hump.
Patrick
I'll tell you, as much as Carlton Brundage was the more name guy, Mike Flowers is playing very, very well over at Western Michigan, and he just graduated. I think in
Flowers graduated 2 years ago,
or 15 or 16. So
they were the group. They were the group that came up after.
They
came up after Brundage and Pee Wee was Amari Hardy and Mike Flowers, and now Flowers is really flourishing at Western Michigan, and Amari Hardy's playing really well at UNLV right now.
Very well, and his younger brother, the freshman,
we should have had
2022 has just got ranked number 1 or number 2
in the whole class.
Yeah, in
the whole country as a 2 guard. He's at Coronado, and he should be at North Farmington right now.
I think I talked with Ramsey Hardy not long ago, and he told me that Jaden Hardy would have no problem at all giving Amari Hardy, the college player, buckets now. So, I'm sure
he's already
they
taller.
might play later on.
He's already taller. Jaden's already 6'3", 6'4".
Legit 6'3". Yeah.
Wow. Back to the PSL, you happened to see Douglas and Cass yesterday.
Yeah, it was
Tuesday, I should say. Cass put up 84 points.
Yeah, and even Douglas still scored 60,
right
around there. Or whatever.
59.
It was a pretty tight game in the first quarter, and then Cass just came out there and let's say that I think Douglas, they brought in some guys that were off the transfer wire, I guess you could say, who just became eligible, and they just had a little bit of problems sinking in together because they missed a couple of early buckets, which probably would have kept that first quarter a little bit tighter, maybe changed up what Pierre Brooks was going to do later on in the game as far as substitutions, just having the confidence, just trying to give some guys some confidence. Hey, you missed us late,
right.
Bad turnover here. But yeah, Cass is, they just come around. They have so many different weapons where, they can get you. Tyson Acuff hit a couple of threes, so that was good to see from him.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got guys like Khalil Whitehead, who's going to Chicago State, and other guys that really buried them on the boards.
Yeah, he's a real X factor for them. Yeah, when Whitehead is, is taking it to the 10 strong, and then pulling up at the elbow. Because he can knock that down all day. He makes them, I think, really. It's going to be interesting to see how they progress from this point. I think we all feel Cass can be the best team in the state as far as Division I goes. However,
let's say this, depth-wise,
right.
I think that they are definitely there.
Yeah.
We talk about like Clarkston, University of Detroit Jesuit, where they're going 7 or 8 deep. Cass, they'll play 10 in the first half.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's the game plan. No foul trouble or not. Hey, this is what's gonna happen. I do know that they, obviously they lost to King. They might play each other 4 times.
Right.
I'm not going to show you all my cards.
Right.
Just saying that. And you talked with Coach Ward earlier, and so Southwestern always used to win the city title and beat Cooley. But Cooley would wind up winning would wind up winning the state title.
We talked about it.
Yeah, and so
he never won a city title.
Yeah.
At Cooley Ward during his time there, they won I think 3 state championships.
Well, he won 2.
Yeah, maybe
he won. They won 87, 89.
Yeah.
He was the captain on the 87, 88.
That conversation will be at the end of the show, so you get to see Coach Ward. You get to hear all about that.
Yep.
But
it was also good to see his son again knock down a 3 in quality minutes. It was like it's one of those things where it's fun to watch kids grow up when. They're 2 or 3 years old, and all of a sudden they're in high school.
Exactly. Let's quickly get into the rankings here before we break. Quickly, as a summation, the 4 number 1 teams in each division remain the same this week. Roseville jumps back in the rankings. Division 2's top 5 teams continue to roll. McBain joins the D3 top 10, while D4's top 2, Athens and Bellevue, go at it this week.
Yeah. Hey, I'm pretty excited with the Athens and Bellevue. Still, I'd like to get out there. I had the opportunity at Warren Fitzgerald this past Saturday to sit next to a couple of gentlemen who get discounts on coffee and other such things, and have quite a long resume of games that they've watched. And they were telling me about the Irish Hills and how basketball is kind of coming up. So it was good to hear about them, and maybe feel good about myself, about just going out there and how I felt about Athens and Bellevue.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get like a little bit of a stamp of approval, from some guys. And then another top 4 team, you got Hanover Horton, who they were also talked about, and they were like, yeah, they're young, they're going to be good this year, they're good this year, they're going to be good next year. But I think that Athens Bellevue game, and this is another group where they're another 2 teams where they are probably going to play 3 times. They play this week, and then in the regular season, and then play again about 2 or 3 weeks right before the playoffs start. And I think that they would play each other again in the regionals.
Anybody else you feel here that are ready to make a move maybe and jump into your rankings?
Some
teams right on the cusp.
I think Ypsilanti Lincoln. What they did to Ypsilanti. That was at Ypsilanti. Obviously, a statement win. I had the opportunity to talk to Coach Brooks over at Ypsilanti, and I mean, the young fella Imani Bates wound up getting another freshman. Wound up having a 40-point-plus game.
Yeah.
And was knocking down threes. And if you want to shoot a 25-foot jumper in high school, then go ahead. It just so happened that they were falling, so the game plan might be a little bit different next time.
I mean, ideally, that was going to be our main event. Yes. This week was going to be Ypsilanti, Lincoln, and Jackson going at it in Jackson, but this darn ice
Mother Nature
has postponed both the reschedule for Wednesday. We'll see if they replay. We'll see if we end up getting to them. If not, I want to go see the young man. I want to see the team in general, just because they're hot right now, and that's
Well, I do know Ypsi plays Ypsilanti, Lincoln later on, and another team that. And while I don't have, and you can go to state champs and see the rankings.
Yeah.
And while I don't have Ypsilanti on the bubble.
Yeah.
The point guard that just came over from France, we've talked about, Lucas Henderson.
He didn't play in that game.
Yeah, he didn't play in this game, but
he played
last night. He played against Adrian. They wound up winning. Ypsi wound up winning by
28 point.
And he had 28 points
in his debut.
Yeah, in his debut.
That's pretty impressive.
So they're a much different team.
Yeah,
I can imagine
that's
them.
That's what Coach said.
Let's say they'll win. Let's say they win yesterday, or Tuesday, and if they win again on Friday, then they'll be on that bubble team. And as they continue to win, perhaps the next time when they play at Ypsilanti Lincoln, depending on what Ypsilanti does, I can see. Let's say Ypsilanti Lincoln keeps on rolling, then that could very well be a top 10.
So we're going to take our first time out here. We're going to come back and then get into the grab bag, talk about shooters, some of Scott's best that he has ranked here in the state of Michigan, and then there's a bunch of commitment stuff and guys getting offers. So we're going to get into that coming up right after this.
Fundraising should be fresh, flavorful, and simple. We have the perfect solution at Hungry Howie's. Dough Raiser. Your team or school can sell paper pizza certificates that can be redeemed for one medium pizza at participating locations.
We've been doing this fundraiser for about 4 years, and it's the easiest and best and most profitable fundraiser they have in Michigan.
Go to doughraiser.com to learn more and sign up. Your next fundraiser comes with flavored crust. Welcome to Hungry Howie's Dough Raiser.
All right, welcome back to State Champs HangTime Michigan. TJ Kelley, Scott Burnstein. I'm Lorne Plant. We're breaking it down. About to get into the grab bag, but first, the Fast Break Invitational that is taking place at Belleville this weekend. Just quick a preview. I know there's been a lineup shift.
Yeah, we've added Old Redford versus Detroit Northwestern for the 1 p.m. game. I'm really excited for the second game, which has Hanover Horton, number 2 team in Division III. They're going to play Toledo St. Francis de Sales, who is a solid team. They've got a player that just committed to Oakland University.
Oh, nice.
Also, that we've got Renaissance versus West Bloomfield, which is the top-notch game. And then,
unfortunately for West Bloomfield, Donovan Moore is on the shelf for another couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the finale game, we'll have Muskegon. They're making the trip all the way across state, and they're going to be playing the host Belleville, which is, I think, going to be a phenomenal game. Belleville, those guys are really starting to come onto their own, just because a lot of those guys were sitting on the bench last year behind all those terrific seniors. Muskegon, they have the addition of Jarvis Walker, one of the standout juniors from the class.
Came over from Mona.
Yep, came over from Mona Shores, and
so
he's just beat last night too.
Okay.
But yeah, that's going to be great. And for those that don't have an opportunity, if you're in the Detroit metro area, get out and see Hanover Horton. That's a team that you're like, when you go and watch it for the basketball junkies, that's a game. And for those that aren't basketball junkies, I know sometimes they like to see them, I scout them and stuff like that. So if Hanover Horton's going to have a pretty good shot to make it to the Breslin, and I'm not counting out Muskegon, even though their record might not, show that maybe be indicative of what they are going to be in March. But I think that that's going to want to be a great game. Muskegon won that game last year when they did play. So hopefully weather will so far is going to treat us a lot better than it has the last couple of days. The famous TJ Kelley kiss of death, Muskegon #1 to open the season. Yeah, keep going. It's all right. It's all good. But they've got some phenomenal football players. Cam Martinez, Billy Roberts,
Deontay Torres.
Deontay Torres, and then
Ware.
Yep, Ware's going to Northwood. Yeah, they're a loaded.
A lot of basketball, football. Yeah. I say Muskegon. I have to say football.
Yeah.
A lot of basketball still playing.
Jim Harbaugh was at their game yesterday too.
Well, there you go.
With our offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator.
Best shooters in the state.
Yeah, so I did a thing on my blog.
TJ Kelley.
Making it rain from the State Champ Studios.
Yeah.
So I did another thing on my blog about the best shooters in the state, guys that are true marksmen, snipers, guys that get busy beyond the arc. And I'm interested to get TJ's take on maybe some kids I maybe missed out on. But
you got them all.
But for my money, I call him Bo the Show, Lorne Bowman, most pure shooter in the state, just perfect form, fundamentally flawless. I was talking before when we were talking about Ethan Immersion, not hitting rim, just hitting on nothing but net.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way that Lorne Bowman shoots the ball, and whether he's shooting it from a 3-point range or just killing them softly with that mid-range pull-up, Lorne Bowman is lethal. That's why the Wisconsin Badgers are bringing him into the fold in 2020. I really like Dylan Juergens. From Howardsville Christian, one of the leading scorers in the state right now. I believe he's over 30 points a night. A guy that I believe he went for over 16 a game, has gone for over 40 a couple times this year already.
What school is it?
Howardsville Christian.
Howardsville Christian. I do not think
West
I've
side of
ever
the state.
heard
They got to the
Howardsville Christian.
They're Division 4. They
Okay.
got to the quarterfinals last year in Division 4.
Okay.
He's a preferred walk-on to Central Michigan, and he's got unlimited range.
All right.
Check
it out.
He's shooting it from the parking lot.
Okay.
Mason Wojciech.
Yep. Watch. Yep.
I don't want to butcher his name. Mason Wojo over at Mount Pleasant.
Yep.
He's only a junior. He's a gunner. Really quick release. A type of guy that is dribbling up the floor, and you're trying to force him left, and the next thing you know, he's pulling up on you.
Beat Orchard Lake St. Mary's last night.
Yep.
Or on Monday up in Saginaw Valley.
Yeah. So I really like Mason Wojo. Sudi McElroy over at Ferndale came over from Detroit East English Village. The only one of the college recruit transfers that made the move from East English to Ferndale to be eligible this year. Simon Wheeler and Colin Golson, Jay Sean Moore have to sit out for the 2018-19 campaign. We'll see them next year. But Sudi McElroy, who's a senior, came over, and since he got eligible, he's been as advertised. He's averaging 25 a night. Again, popping them from the parking lot. A type of guy that's 6'7", has length, athleticism, but is just a real sniper, shooting the ball really well. And then Josh Lehman over at Ludington hit a buzzer beater at the Breslin Center a couple years ago to take his team into the Class C finals, I believe, either Class B or Class C finals.
Ludington.
C.
C.
Yeah. And he's a guy that I think he's going to Spring Arbor. I'm not sure.
Spring Arbor, top 5 team in NAI. I think number 6 maybe NAIA Division 2.
But Josh Lehman, Lehman,
Jeopardy or anything like that. In there.
Josh Lehman can really get heated from outside, get heated in a hurry. And then a couple other guys I just want to mention. Probably the best in the UP, Reese Castor, over at Gladstone. Best in the PSL, I'm going to go with Daniel Autry over at Cass Tech. Flint area, Cade Coleman from Davidson. Really like
just had 40 points, huge night the other night.
Really like the way he shoots the ball.
Okay,
and then Cam McEvans, who we were talking about. From Southwood A&T, just a quiet assassin that can drop 40 on you, and you maybe never heard of him until he dropped that 40 on you.
There have been some college commitments, some news,
some offers, and some commitments. TJ and I can kind of mix it up.
Yeah, go for it.
So just a couple commitments out of the backcourt. Zach Goodline from Coloma.
Yep.
One of the highest scoring point guards in the state. He's averaging about 30 points a game right now. Just committed to Huntington University out in Indiana. It's a division NAIA program.
Okay.
And he's a guy that is a real supersonic sleeper special. A guy that people don't maybe mention when you're talking about best guards in the state. But you need to mention him because he is a workhorse in the backcourt and the type of guy that just has a will to win. And you add that with the offensive flow that he brings, and he's just a real dangerous competitor.
Probably going to be a 2,000-point scorer. Let's say this: between him and Dylan Juergens, I think that they're probably going to be the top scorers with the 2019, and in the state. But yeah, I think an absolute steal. Guys just get caught up in height. And
And Austin Brown, what's up with him?
Zach Goodline is a real swag nasty. I mean, he's got swagger, he's got moxie. You want to talk about maybe the master of moxie in the state of Michigan, a three-sport superstar, Austin Brown. Austin Brown from Madison Heights, Madison, first-team All-State in all three sports. And he was committed to go play baseball at Marshall. Had a great football season where he led Madison Heights Madison into the Ford Field, into the Division VII state finals, kind of rediscovered his love for the quarterback position, reopened his recruitment, and now he's committed to play football at Grand Valley.
It's a good fit.
Right now, this winter, he's decimating the competition on the basketball floor as a point guard, averaging. I'm
gonna have to go see him.
Close to 25 a night. Right. His Madison Heights Madison Eagles are 12-1.
Okay,
looking real good.
Right. And lost to Warren Lincoln last week.
They're only lost.
Caught up with Wydell. He's like, man, we lose to Marysville, and then we beat Madison Heights Madison. And I was like, well, because you played in Marysville.
Right. Yeah.
But Austin Brown.
Yes, because there is an Austin
Brown. There's Austin Braun from Grand Rapids
Catholic
Central who's going to Grand Valley State to play basketball.
Right.
And now there's Austin Brown who's going to Grand Valley State to play football.
Joe Moon getting some love?
Yeah. Oh, man, it's about time.
Yeah.
And
Moneyball Moon.
Yeah, and he had a solid game last night in their win over Fortson.
31 last night.
Yep, and just got an offer from Indianapolis this afternoon. I can't quote everything that the coach.
The University of Indianapolis.
The Greyhounds.
The Greyhounds.
Right.
Division II. Solid player. That's where Jacob Polakovich, former teammate last year at Grand Rapids Catholic Central with Austin Braun.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
But yeah, they're coming in here and they're seeing things that maybe some other coaches that aren't. And it's funny how things work. All of a sudden,
more is going to come, right?
Pardon me?
More offers.
I would imagine so. But this happens, and all of a sudden, people all of a sudden I feel like coaches are reading my emails, and I get a text from James Madison. I get a text from Central Connecticut State.
Yeah.
I get a text from a couple of other schools and stuff like, well, how good is this kid really?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he's good enough that I wouldn't, I'm not trying to waste anybody's time.
One last you want to mention about Matt Nicholson?
That's TJ.
Oh, that's CJ.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I think Matt Nicholson is, let's say this, he's got an offer from Lake Superior State where his older brother played. He's got an offer from Ferris State. I think that he's all of a MAC Horizon player. I'm just saying that, I think it's a no-brainer.
I personally think that he's Big Ten bound. I think before it's all said and done, on signing day of 2020, he'll be inking in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and so we were at the Oak Park Clarkston game. I mean, caught an alley-oop. I think he had six blocks in the game. Really was. I mean, it probably made anybody who was thinking about scoring from Oak Park in the paint, made them rethink their shot. So he probably, just his intimidation factor, probably had another 5 or 6.
He had another one where he caught the ball on the break, kind of slashing into the middle of the lane, grabbed it, took one dribble, and then kind of did a cuff jam, like a Larry Nance.
Yeah,
he just goes about about his business.
On Saturday, everybody after the game walking out to, hey man, I love your game, I like your game.
And he was quiet. He was quiet. I mean, he had like 10 and 13 in that game.
He just goes about doing his business. He doesn't get rattled, and so.
He's got a nice touch.
Yeah.
Shoot free throws.
So I talked with Coach Wassel
15-footers
over at Clarkston, and Ohio State has been in to see him. I know that a couple of years ago they came in to see Romeo Weems over at New Haven. They were asking me, what's another game to go see?
Yeah.
Or what's another practice to go see? It was in the fall. I was like, well, you can just shoot over, a half an hour. Or
people got to understand about Matt
and watch Nicholson. This is a kid that averaged less than 5 minutes.
That's what I was going to say. People have to understand that this is really Matt Nicholson's first exposure at the varsity level, and he's only 12 games in. Yeah. That's why you're sitting here, and he's a junior, and he doesn't have the big offers because you haven't had a chance to see him.
But normally a kid,
who he is.
Yeah, 18 points, 14 rebounds, 5 block average.
Yeah, normally a kid like that has been playing every game of his high school schedule from the time he's a freshman to into his junior year.
So with Nicholson, I know Tennessee has reached out, Iowa's reached out, Purdue has reached out, and that's just recently from talking with Coach Walsuk. Duquesne was at the game. in kind of watching a couple of different guys and stuff like that. Between the Oak Park and Clarkston game, and so. I'd love to see the MAC and Horizon guys maybe step it up a little bit, and take us and assume that we're in-state guys. I'd just like to see some guys hey, you got a lot of good guys that are here, and not only that, they're going and helping programs win.
No doubt about it. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. You can catch these guys, of course, every week right here on Hang Time, and of course, you can read. Bernie's blog, Bernie's Bites at statechampsnetwork.com. Check out TJ's rankings, and if you see him at a game or whatever, say what's up, and tell him you love Hang Time. So Matt Mowry coming back on the flip of this. So stay with us.
Coaching basketball is a rewarding and challenging pursuit, but you don't have to do it alone. The Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan are here to support you.
BCAM is the largest coaches association in the country with nearly 6,000 members representing college, high school, and middle school ranks. Members have access to drills, clinics, job opportunities, and it's the only way to vote for our annual awards, including Mr. and Miss Basketball.
Join today by visiting bcam.org, because better coaching always matters.
All right, welcome back to Hang Time, Michigan. Time now to talk a little bit of girls basketball. We got to make sure we get the ladies in, see what's happening with them. This is Matt Mowry. He is our senior editor, our managing editor, and definitely the guy that we want to talk to when it comes to girls basketball in the state of Michigan. He gets to a lot of them. And so quickly, let's talk about the rankings. We'll start there. Just some notes that we noticed. Division I stayed exactly the same with Saginaw Heritage and Southfield A&T up on top. Little bit of movement in Division II. Detroit Edison continuing to dominate.
Continues to roll.
And top not only Division II, but our Super 10, which is clear. Corunna jumped Harper Woods Chandler Park to move to 3. Division 3 and 4 also stayed the same at the 1 and 2 slots. Sandusky and Hemlock both jumped into the D3 rankings, taking over for Rogers City and Bark River Harris, who dropped out.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of movement in the top 10s this past week, just because, most of the times when ranked teams were playing, they were winning their games, with the exception of Chandler Park actually gave Heritage a really good game right down to the end. And so that was a consideration. I mean, normally you drop a team after a loss, not a whole lot, because they lost to arguably the number 2 team in the entire state behind Edison.
Right.
And, so that was a consideration. So, but I've had them ranked up 2 or 3 most of the season in Chandler Park, and they belong there. So I think they proved that. Corunna just keeps on rolling unbeaten, so I kind of, bumped them a little bit, but that could easily go back and forth as the season goes on. And a lot of the other games that we got between ranked teams, Maple City Glen Lake lost to Kingsley by 8, and that was another matchup of top 10 teams in Division 2 and Division 3 there. But most of the other action between ranked teams were in the honorable mention ranks, and a couple of them stood out. One of them was that Brighton knocked off Heartland, and Heartland had kind of been almost that next team in the rankings, that 10A or that number 11
now
slot.
That they were replenished.
Right, now that they were full strength. Yeah, exactly. And we kind of thought, now they go on a roll. Well, Brighton comes along and says, not so fast. Brighton's an interesting squad because they were a good team, and they lost by 5 to a Heartland team last year that went all the way to the quarters. And we knew Heartland was going to be good because they brought a lot of players back and they had a lot of young players come in. Weren't sure about Brighton. They had a lot of the same cast together, so we kind of figured there would be some, just some gains by experience, but they've gotten a lot better this year simply just because they've gotten a little bit older, and they've kind of taken that defense, which has always been their calling card, and they've almost kind of tweaked it to another level. They've got a team that can press you. They can also play in the half court because they've got a Division I center in Sophie Zekin, who's committed to Bowling Green, and she can score inside. And they've They've got some shooters around her, but their primary thing is that they're going to press you and they're going to get some easy buckets off their defense. And they're rolling along at 11-0 as we record this, so they've got it rolling, and they've kind of served notice that they kind of need to be that next team. Maybe if anybody drops out of the Class A rankings or Division I rankings now, they may be the next team to pop in there.
Right, and they haven't had a chance to play. You got to see them play against Northville. Yep. Tuesday.
Yeah.
And so, and again, I think Northville was a team, maybe we thought was a little bit better than they are right now. I think they're still trying to kind of figure themselves out. They're young.
Yeah.
But it was pretty clear who was the big dog in the building.
Well, yeah, and Todd Good had said that.
Intended.
Right, Tuesday night. He's the Northville coach, and he even said there's a 1A and a 1B in their division, in the West Division of the KLA, and that's Brighton and Heartland, however you want to. And he said you very easily could envision Heartland winning, the second matchup, and then they would go into the tournament. But there's a clear division between those 1A and 1B, and then the rest of the pack that's all kind of right about the same, and the rest of those teams can beat each other on any given night. But another team we wanted to bring up is I personally hadn't seen Birmingham Marion yet this year, and had them ranked all year long. They're another team that kind of is always predicated on defense. Mary Cicerone's teams are always going to play defense. You know that. They're going to get in your shorts. They're going to stop you from scoring. Their problem last year was they would stop you from scoring, and then they would not score themselves. They had a lot of trouble scoring themselves, so they were winning a lot of low-scoring games, but when they came up against the very toughest competition, they were scoring 30 points a game, and it just wasn't enough for them to truly do what they've had a history of doing. This year they've improved a lot internally, like Brighton did, with a lot of the same kids back. They've got a big freshman in Sarah Sylvester, and they've got some kids that have just gotten better. Shannon Kennedy is one of those kids who, she's a very, very good golfer. She was a medalist as a freshman in the D2 meet, but she can shoot the lights out, and once you start to put some offensive components in there, and they're still playing a defense that's pretty similar to what they were last year, that's a whole different ball game for that team, and that's another team that has a very serious shot of going a long way because, again, they play very, very good defense.
Yeah. All right. Well, Matt, thank you. And we'll do it again next week. Coming up right after the break. Again, we talk with King coach George Ward. Fascinating conversation. So stick around. Let's come around.
So, I got my start in officiating when a friend told me I should try it. At first, I just did basketball, and I got hooked. Before long, I added baseball, softball, football, and volleyball. I really enjoy giving back to the game, working with kids, and working with my local association to recruit and train new officials. I would like to say to anybody that officiating is a great way to help kids and stay connected to the game. We always need new officials. There's help wanted, just listen.
Welcome back to the final segment here in this week's State Champs HangTime Michigan podcast. Graciously joining us here inside the room is Detroit King's head coach George Ward. George, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lorne. I appreciate the opportunity and look forward to it.
Yeah, so a proud member of BCAM here in front of me.
Indeed.
And has been for a long time. When did you, just for people who don't, understand your life story, where'd you grow up? Where'd you play?
Wow. Obviously grew up in the city of Detroit. A Finkel Ave guy, as I always like to say. Detroit Cooley High School. Three-time state champion they were. I was fortunate enough to win 2 my junior and senior year, which means I probably had nothing to do with it because they won it again when I left. But
can we date you? Can you give me the years?
1988. I'm 48 years old now. Next time I blow out the candles, I'll be 49.
Right.
And after that, had the opportunity and really was recruited to go down to Alabama State University. Turned down something special from Johnny Golston, who wanted me to go to Alabama A&M. He was a coach at Pershing High School, obviously, but he was an Alabama A&M alum. And, unfortunately, tore my left knee to pieces. They took my ACL out. But came home and, after kind of working and going to school and all that, Coach Ben Kelso called me one day after we had played some pickup basketball up at Cooley, and he called me about 11 o'clock one night, seriously. And when the phone rang, wondering who it was, and, you know, it was like, it's Coach Kelso, and I'm thinking, what's wrong?
Right.
And he said, well, you know, George, I want you to come coach. And he had told me when I was 16 years old that Raphael Peterson and Michael Talley and myself were going to be great coaches. At 16 years old, you're not thinking about coaching basketball whatsoever. But so I heard it, but that was all it was. I just heard it. But close to 10 years later, he gave me that phone call, and I took the opportunity and, you know, loved what I was doing. And I remember the first time I got that whistle. I had done some youth coaching before, but it was all in fun for my son's teams and things of that nature. But once I got that whistle and started instructing, it struck me that this was what I wanted to do. So I've been doing it now. I'm 48, so I've been doing it now for about 23 years. It sounds crazy to even say it like that, but I've been in the game for a minute, had a fair amount of success, and you know, looking forward to a few more years now and see what we can come up with. And once we left Southeastern, I went over to King, and the one thing that I kind of looked at, I said, well, it'll give my son an opportunity to graduate from a even greater academic institution, and he'll be able to play for me. And, you know, put me on, as my athletic director, I always like to say, man, you're going to be on a bigger stage. And, you know, we just get a greater opportunity for all types of young men and young women at King. So it's a testing school. And we
kind of replacing a legend there, too.
Wow. You know, Benny White was there, and then, you know, you look up, you know, I was there with William Winfield. Yeah. You know, I get to go to his practices.
Yeah, right.
So it's a football school.
Yeah.
But it's a girls' basketball school as well.
Right.
So I've just tried to find my niche, and I think we've done a good job.
Yeah.
They have shown me a lot of love at 3200 East Lafayette. So I've been fortunate, and I think this year we've surprised a few people. We're 12-2 right now. Yeah. And we're going to keep working.
Keep working. Absolutely. Got some good wins under your belt. You played some good competition. Couple games already with Cass Tech, including a victory just the other day.
Absolutely.
You know, for those who don't understand that rivalry, can you just kind of shine a little light on it?
Well, you know, we're talking about two schools that are maybe 2 miles apart or something, maybe 2.5. You know, there are two testing schools. Traditionally, you know, you have young men and women who go on to do very well in life. So, you know, the animosity, whether it's self-created or what the case may be, is there. And, you know, it's a mutual respect. Yeah. But it's also some Ohio State, Michigan State hatred there.
Right.
And, you know, so whenever they get together, you can throw the records out the window. I know that sounds cliche-ic, but you can throw the records out the window because no one wants to go to school that attends Cass Tech and say they've lost to King, and vice versa. So, you know, we played them the first time this year.
I was there
at the Technician Dome, and they played a wonderful basketball game, and that game meant more to them, unfortunately, than it did to us. And, you know, you
Harris
can't
just went crazy. He was shooting threes all day.
Oh my goodness, man! We couldn't contest a shot.
Yeah.
We were flat defensively. They just did a great job preparation. They beat us by about 14 points. So, but we had defeated them in the district.
Right.
And you know, Steve Hall's going to do a great job of getting his guys ready to play. They're talented as ever. So they lost.
Sometimes you need to lose to kind of show, hey guys, we got to earn this.
They had ranked us number one in the state of Michigan, Lorne, the game the week after we beat River Rouge.
Right.
And River Rouge is as great a team, as physical, as talented a team, and well-coached a team as you'll find.
I agree.
And we defeated them. And, again, as we talked about earlier, we were in practice, and as practice ended, one of the young men come to me and said, Coach, look at this. And I said, what's happening? He said, they ranked us number one in the state. And I asked him, what in the heck for?
Right.
He said, man, we're the best team in the state. I said, no, you're not. I said, as a matter of fact, you've only won one game. I don't know how that can equate to being the best team. I don't know what kind of criteria they're using. But so we needed that. And then, you know, we played them again, as you know, about a week or so ago. And won it in dramatic fashion. Yeah. Jordan Whitford, my senior point guard, and hit a big shot pretty much at the buzzer.
Yep.
So that rivalry has been very tough, very passionate for the last probably 30 years or so that I know of, 30, 40 years, even when I was in school. King and Cass did not like each other. Right. So it's at its peak right now, and it looks like we're on a collision course to meet somewhere during the city playoffs. In the first game of the state playoffs, we play Cass Tech. Isn't that something?
Yep, there it is. It's it. You got to go through it.
Yeah,
you want to win it. Before we let you go quickly, you talked about just some of the great players that you had at Southeastern when you were there, and
yes.
talking about kids staying. And it seems like we're having an issue now with our great players staying, whether they are being and again, we talked off camera. There's a scenario where it can work out. Wendell Green, it's working out.
Oh, Wendell Green Jr. is working out.
And he's in
Lalomere, Indiana.
In Indiana, yeah. But in other cases, again, what do we need to do so that we make sure our players stay here? I'm sure it's a combination of issues.
Absolutely, Lauren. We're talking about a situation where now, with this being an information age, we look at some of the records from the other teams, some of the other programs. When we play Chicago Orr, defending state champion in Illinois, Lou Adams is a great friend of mine, and he and I talking. I said, "What's your record now, Lou?" And when he comes to me, he says, Hoss, I think we're about 10-4 right now, or 10-3, 11-3. I said, wow, you play 14 games already. So I think the scheduling, we have to, look at.
That was a December 30th game when you played them.
I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
And, he said, like, hey, George, you guys need to get some more games. And that's something that I know the MHSAA is looking into, and we as BCAM, an organization, we're trying to push that right now. That will help because the guys need more competition. When I go, I've had the privilege. Tim McCormick, who's obviously a legend in this country, let alone the state of Michigan, invited me to work the NBA Top 100 camp a few years back. And I've had the privilege of doing that for the last 5 years. So every year, when I go and I sit down with Mike Jones, who's the head coach at DeMatha, Harold Baber, who's down in Houston, and Wayne Jones at Houston Episcopal, those guys play about 35 to 40 games per year. Now, the average student athlete from a basketball perspective in this state is probably going to play about 21 to 22 games. We talk about if you get 20 games regular season prior to the district, everybody doesn't get to go on and win the state championship. So you're looking at the average of 22, 23 games.
Yeah.
So in one season, they've doubled us as far as experience, game floor experience. That's an awful lot. So that's really hurting our children, so to speak, right now. And then the travel rule needs to be modified, we think, a little bit. And it's just some things that, from a perspective of being able to travel, exposure, playing other teams. We can't play on ESPN.
Right.
And it's not as if we have to have that, but when you look at some of the other states, some of these kids get lured away. The parents look at it and say, this is a great opportunity for my child to get exposure.
Just trying to maximize his
Just trying to maximize it, and I get it. And we're in a situation now where the parents, we're gung-ho. We want to be able to say, hey, little Johnny is on television today. Good, bad, or indifferent, it is there.
Yeah.
So I think we need to kind of match what's going on across the world. The shot clock, I believe, is definitely coming. But we need to do some things because as you look at it, you look at Harlan Beverly, one of the best players in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
He's now at Mount Verdi. You look at Carrington McCaskill. He's gone as well. Wendell Green Jr., who is pound for pound, one of the top players in the country for the class of 2020.
Yeah.
So
Rocket Watts
is gone.
Yeah.
So
Old Redford went from contender.
Oh my goodness! Old Redford went from one of the most talented teams in the United States of America,
right,
to it's a situation now where they're just kind of hanging on.
Right.
So I think to add legitimacy to what we're doing here in the state, I think we need to add a couple more games. I think we need to figure out a way to do it. And if that means, Lauren, that we have to play our extra games during the course of the Christmas break, I'm all for it. If the athletic directors or a coach of a team does not want to play 20 games or play 25 games or whatever the case may be, they don't have to. It's not mandatory. But we need to do something so we can match the rest of the world because right now, just honestly, in totality, from a basketball perspective, we're being passed by, and we got to do something about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts.
I appreciate being here
and being in our BCAM segment. Coach Ward, congratulations for everything so far just in your career. I know you feel blessed, and you got the PSL tournament getting ready to get going. Cass Tech out of the gates, pretty much.
Big Ten style tournament. Everybody gets in.
Yeah.
It will be great. We look forward to seeing you guys, Lauren. You guys have done a great job of representing the city, representing the state, this community, and really showcasing our young men and women. So we really appreciate what you guys are doing.
Yep, we'll keep doing it. We're not going anywhere. Again, Coach Ward, thank you for being here. We'll have our producer, Derek Blaylock, in here for our next segment just to kind of wrap everything up. This is Hang Time.
All right.
All right, welcome back. We're finishing up the show. Derek Blaylock, the producer of HangTime, is here and just wants to send a little shout out and give you guys a little news on something we can put in at the end of the show.
Hey guys, we're always looking for some great highlights. So if you got some highlights from your school's game, send them in to Derek, D-E-R-E-K, at yellowflagproductions.com. We would love to share them on the show. Once again, that's Derek, D-E-R-E-K, at yellowflagproductions.com, and we'll see if we can get them on there.
Yeah, we'll put together a few clips. You know, we see that the phones, the iPads are all out at every one of these games we go to. So if you happen to catch something really cool, maybe it's a half-court shot or something really sweet, send it to Derek, and maybe we'll talk about it right here on HangTime. Otherwise,